Jason and Kim Crystal with a pistol, chainsaw and number
Here's Johnny.
It's Jason and Kim Crystal with a pistol, chainsaw and number This is nutty. Mike. Jason and Kim Crystal with a pistol, chainsaw and number This is nutty. Mike. Jason and Kim Crystal with a pistol, chainsaw and number This is nutty. It's Michael.
What's going on YouTube? This is Versus Loco, the motherfucking Horde Cholo, and I'm back at it, man. It has been a while. But trying to come to you today and give you my Letterboxd reviews. So yes, this is going to be everything that I watched in the month of March. So yes, it appears that I watched 53 movies, I believe it was. 53 movies in the month of March. Yes, I know, don't have a life. Yeah, but check out this hat though right there. Yeah, so yes. Pretty cool. So yes, without further ado, let's just jump right into this. This is probably going to be a bit of a longer video, which my Letterboxd ones usually are. So first up on the first, I watched American Mary. This was actually one that I seen on my boy Planet Mondo's top 50 disturbing videos. So I had never seen this movie, so I really wanted to check it out, and it was actually a really fucking cool movie, man. I had a blast with it. The premise of it is a trip, you know. She's like a plastic surgeon and just starts doing all these crazy surgeries like on the underground black market thing, and really interesting, man. I gave that one 4 stars. I did revisit VHS, the found footage film. I love this one. Part 1 is awesome. I gave this one 4 stars. If you have never seen VHS and you like found footage, or even if you're just a horror fan, you don't even like found footage, I would definitely give this movie a watch. Yeah, so give 4 stars. Then after that, I followed it up with VHS Part 2. I actually like this one slightly better than the original. I gave this one 4.5 stars, and it's really because of that last it's an anthology film, so that last story, the one where they're like in Thailand or wherever the fuck they are, and man, just the way that they accomplished that whole fucking part is just absolutely incredible. There is just so much stuff going on. It's fucking batshit crazy. The camera angles, you know, it's found footage, so just the shit that they were able to accomplish, it's fucking wicked, man. If you have not seen that one also, definitely check it out. After that, I watched the movie The Town. I love this movie, I always have. Such a great movie, great heist movie. Really not too much more to say about it than that. I actually gave that one 5 stars. I think it's a masterpiece. I could not find a flaw with it. After that, I did watch The Shining. The Shining is another one, man. It's a very long movie, but if you sit there and watch the whole thing, it's fucking incredible what kind of story it tells, the visual aspects. Jack Nicholson, he's just an amazing actor. The girl too, I forgot her name. I know everybody's probably gonna scream it at me, but she is amazing in that movie as well. I gave that one 5 stars. Next up was prep for mine and Vin's series that we have, Vin versus Vin. We did top 5 Tom Hanks films, and I watched Nothing in Common. I had nothing in common with it, and it was very boring. I gave that one 1.5 stars. Next up, I watched The Platform because my buddies over at Pop's Movie Dungeon and Alan at 4K and Dirk and them, we all did a stream on top 5 prison movies. So my boy fucking Vin was telling me about this one, so I checked it out, and it was a really fun one, man. I believe this is a Netflix original, and it's a great film. I gave that one 4 stars. Very interesting concept. You know, it's not like a straight prison movie, but it's a different aspect on it. Yes, it is a prison movie, but it's a very different look and feel that you would actually think. So yeah, cool stuff there. Next up, I watched that new comedy movie called We Have a Ghost. That one, man, it's funny. You know, there's so many good people in it, and I love the way that it was shot. I love the way that it was filmed. You could tell that it had a really high budget. Man, it just failed for me though. You know, it just I don't know if they tried too hard, or if they just didn't make it interesting enough for me, but I just did not like it at all. I gave that one 2 stars. Next up, I watched The Sword and the Sorcerer. This is one of those newer Scream Factory 4Ks. And you know, I bought it and it's been sitting up on my shelf, and I just finally recently watched it, but it didn't seem like it was gonna be my type of movie, and I didn't think it was amazing or nothing, but I thought it was pretty damn good for what it was. I'm usually not into those kind of films, but I mean, the visual effects that they used on it looked really cool. It was a pretty decent story, but yeah, I had fun with it. I gave that one 3.5 stars. I don't know about rewatchability though. I don't see myself rewatching that movie anytime soon, but I did have fun with it. Next up after that, I watched Reanimator. Reanimator is one of my favorite movies of all time, so I gave that thing 5 stars. Great movie. Next up, I watched The Dead Pit, another one that I had this movie as a kid, so I don't know if it's nostalgia or that I really just fucking love it, but I fucking love it. And so yeah, I gave that one 5 stars to me too. It's so much fun. The atmosphere being in the mental institution, and then when they start going down and you see the pit with all the fucking zombies down there, it looks gruesome, man. And to me, I mean, it genuinely is creepy. You know, there's parts in those movies, or that movie that's creepy, that it's very effective. I remember being a young kid watching that, just being like, oh shit, like this is some deep shit. So yeah, I like it. Next up, I watched Ouija, Origin of Evil. This one, you know, is better than the other one, but I still wasn't that great into it. I say it's slightly above average. I gave it 3 stars. Sorry, 3 stars. Next up, I watched Combat Shock. This is a trauma film that Severin released. I've always liked this movie, man. Well, the first time I seen it was when Severin released it, and it's just a really raw and gritty movie. It's very different. I'd say it's a lot more exploitation than anything else, but it's a great film, man. I really like it. I really like what they were able to accomplish, and like I said, that raw, gritty, like drug addict fucking feel that it has is just it's pretty good, man. That one I gave 4 stars. Next up, I watched an Arrow release called We Are the Flesh. This movie I watched before, and I wish I understood it more. You know, I feel like I need to do a little bit more research because I don't fucking get it. You know, the only thing, if anybody out there has seen that movie, please let me know in the comments what you think about it, because I feel like I don't know if it's just too artsy that it makes no sense, or if it makes obvious sense, which is just that this guy manipulated these fucking 2 kids, this brother and sister, in this fucking place that they're at, and like used them and made them think that they couldn't leave, and then like just used them for like sexual shit and made them have sex with each other, all kinds of weird shit, and it was just because he was fucking nuts and he didn't want anybody else to leave. That's literally the only concept that I could find out of it. So if somebody else knows in more depth what the fucking film director was trying to say, please let me know. But I don't know, I wanted to like it, but at the same time, I can't say it's more than average. I gave it 2.5 stars. Next up, I watched the movie The Funhouse. This is a movie that my uncle Norman showed me a long ass time ago, so I have nostalgia to it. Plus, on top of that, I just love horror movies that are placed in carnivals or circuses or fun houses or haunted houses. All those kind of things I'm just a sucker for, so I have fun with this movie. I gave that one 4 stars. It's not perfect, but I like it a lot. Next up, I watched Terrifier 2 again. This is actually my second time watching it, and I loved it just as much as the first one. It's a fucking masterpiece, man. It is a gore hounds, horror hounds fantasy movie, I feel like. Like, it is like the perfect movie for somebody that just wants to see great carnage and great visual violence, and all of it being practical. It's incredible. It's so much fun. So I gave that one 5 stars. I think it's a masterpiece. Next up after that, here's even more twisted stuff, is that I watched a shockumentary called Traces of Death. And Traces of Death, if anybody knows anything about this, it's basically Faces of Death, but everything is real. There is no fake stuff. So it is very interesting to watch, especially for somebody like me that likes to just see some crazy shit sometimes. It's very hard to watch in some parts. There's actually some parts that I had to fast forward through because it's just, they were just showing too much of it, you know? It's like, it's one thing to get a flash in 10 seconds of what's happening, but it's another thing to go 20 minutes into just fucking doing what they're doing, you know? And it's just like, damn. So yeah, there was parts where I had to watch it at a faster pace than normal. So yes, but again, you know, I don't know, I trip out on things like that. So it's interesting to me. So I gave that one 3.5 stars. Next up, I watched The People Under the Stairs. People Under the Stairs is another one I've been watching since I was a kid. I feel like it's a really great, like, gateway horror film, you know, for kids. Even though it does have extreme aspects of it, it almost kind of feels like a Home Alone version of a horror movie. You know, Wes Craven is the man, so I just feel like he did a great job. I love the cast, the little black kid too. He's fucking awesome. He's such a great personality, such a little kind-hearted kid, just trying to help out his family. And then he starts helping out the kids that are trapped underneath the stairs. So really great story, really great concept, man. I give that one 4 stars. Next up, I watched Damien, which is Omen Part 2. I love Part 1. To me, Part 1 of Omen is a fucking masterpiece. But this one is just fucking boring to me, man. I don't like it. I know there's a lot of people out there love this movie. I personally don't at all. It has nothing that, I mean, there's only maybe a couple kills in it. The story's really not that great. It's very slow paced. The visuals at the fucking school are nothing to be excited about. I gave that one 1.5 stars. Next up, I watched the new Chris Rock special, the comedy one called Selective Outrage, which is so funny that he calls it Selective Outrage because it's literally, that's calling Will Smith out, you know? He had selective outrage for what he did. You know, he should have been outraged at his fucking wife for all the shit that she did to him, but instead he selected rage out on him. But yeah, you know, I mean, it was okay. He had some good funny parts in there. He definitely has had better specials than that, but I'm a fan of Chris Rock, man. I like Chris Rock. And then at the end, for finally talking out on everything like that, you know, it was really cool. And just how many times he said, you know, it's like, what do you say? He says something like, oh, he should have came out me, but what? Instead, he doesn't do with his bitch. That is a bitch move. It's like, did this, that is a bitch move. Like, he just kept calling him a bitch over and over again, and it was just hilarious. So yeah, I gave that one 3.5 stars. Next, after that, I watched The Audition. This one, I've heard a lot of things about it, man, and I forgot how she said it. But, you know, it starts off really slow, but where it goes is fucking very twisted and very interesting, man. You know, it's basically an older guy that falls in love with this younger Asian girl, and she's a fucking nutbag, man. And, like, she's putting these, at the end, she's putting these needles inside of him, man. And, like, the way, I forgot how she said it, too, what it is in Japanese. But it's basically, the subtitles, when you read it, says, deeper, 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 deeper. And it's like, what are they, those fucking things that they do for massages, fucking acupuncture needles, and they're like, she's like sticking them in his fucking eye, and the deeper, deeper, deeper. Oh man, it's fucking, it's terrifying to fucking, and her voice saying however it sounded in Japanese, man, it's fucking twisted. But again, it wasn't perfect, and it had a lot of slow parts, but that ending was top notch. I gave that one 3.5 stars. Next up, I watched a movie called Bloodstone. This one was also released by Arrow. This one's not a horror movie, which I thought it was, but I found it very interesting, man. It was kind of, from what I remember right now, kind of, it's a little fuzzy in my mind, but they were in another country, and I think his wife gets kidnapped or something like that. He's basically trying to get her back because of this bloodstone that they found. Everybody in the country wants it. That's why they came over there. It was just it was like a cheesy action movie with kind of like Indiana Jones kind of esque situations in it. But yeah, you know, I had a blast with it. I thought it was pretty fun. Or not a blast with it, but I thought it was fun. I gave it 3 stars, so slightly above average. Next up, I watched The Howling 2. It's funny, I'm not the hugest fan of the original Howling movie, but I had a blast with this movie. I thought it was really cool. I thought it was a lot entertaining. I felt like there was so much more going on in this one. So yeah, I actually kind of like this one better than the original. This one's going to be 4 stars, and I know in the comments you motherfuckers are going to blast me, but that's just how I feel. Next up, I got Razorback from Scream Factory, so I did watch that one, and man, that one was so subpar. Like, I thought it was going to be something completely different, and it was just kind of a snooze fest for me, so yeah, I didn't really like it. I gave that one 2.5 stars, average. Next up, since St. Patrick's Day was that month, I watched a few of the Leprechauns. So yes, next up I watched Leprechaun's Origin because of St. Patrick's Day, and you know, this one I'd never seen before, but it was actually a lot better than I thought it would be. Still not amazing, but I did think it was a lot better than I anticipated. It almost doesn't even look like a fucking leprechaun. It's like a little fucking monster thing. So that was kind of, it was, I don't know if it was off-putting or if it was kind of refreshing to see something different, but I thought it was slightly above average. I gave that one 3 stars. Next up, I watched Leprechaun in Space. Man, this movie just, it didn't do it for me, man. And it's funny too, because you know, some of the Leprechauns, especially like 3, you know, it's very comedic, and I love that one. Yeah, this one a little bit too much for me. I just couldn't do it. Same thing with the Hoods. You know, I can't do any of the Hoods. Those ones is just, it's so fucking silly and so fucking cliche and like a mockery. It's embarrassing, to be honest. But yeah, Leprechaun in Space, I gave it 1.5 stars. Next up, I watched Leprechaun 2. It's been forever since I watched Leprechaun 2, and I actually had a blast with this one. This one was actually a lot funner than I remembered it. So yeah, it's one that I usually skip every year. I usually just kind of watch the bangers, the ones that I know I like, the original, part 3, things like that, the newest one. But that one, I had a blast with that. I gave it 3.5 stars. Next up, I watched the original Leprechaun. That one to me is a great film. You know, it has slight comedic elements in it, but for the more part, you know, it's a great like kids horror movie. I feel like, so I always like that one. I gave that one 4 stars. Next up, I watched Quatermass in the Pit. This is a Hammer film from 1967, and man, the production value on this movie was great. I mean, there was so much stuff going on, and for a movie that old and the different effects that they had, it looked like something that was literally filmed in Universal Studios. So I thought that was really cool and refreshing to watch. Had a really trippy story. Great movie, man. I loved it. I gave that one 4 stars. Next up, I watched Family Portraits. This is a trilogy of America. So this was a very strange movie, man. It was, it's an anthology film, very extreme kind of shit. Very different, you know. Another one that I wish that, I don't know, maybe I need to rewatch it, but I felt like it just didn't hit for me fully. And usually I like that kind of crazy shit, but I mean, I want a little bit of sense behind it as well. And I feel like it just wasn't there, but I still gave it above average score. I gave that one 3 stars. Next up, I watched Candyman. I'm a huge fan of Candyman. Let me see, which side is it on? Boom, right there, Candyman logo, or the cover. I fucking love Candyman. It's one of my all-time favorite horror movies as well. That's a masterpiece. I gave 5 stars. Next up, I watched Stanley. This is one of the Vinegar Syndrome ones. I believe it was on a double pack, and man, this movie is fucking boring. I could have swore I seen people saying that they like this one too, but I was just bored out of my mind. Yeah, I didn't like it at all. I gave that one 1/2 star. Next up, I watched Ray. This is going to be the Ray Charles movie about him. I personally love this movie. I love these movies about artists, bands, all these kind of things like that. They usually always hit with me, every single one of them. So it's always crazy to see these people that are just major successful and what they had to go through to get there, or once they were there, how they fucked it up. You know, it's all very interesting to me. So yeah, Ray is a great movie. That's a masterpiece to me, 5 stars. I watch a lot of bangers this month, man. So you guys probably think that I'm being over exaggerated with my ratings, but these are just some bangers for me. Next up, I watched Hellraiser, another one that I fucking love. Got the box right there. Love Hellraiser. Hellraiser's a fucking masterpiece to me. Great movie, great score, great cinematography. I love the makeup work on all the Cenobites. Even just his voice, shit that he says. You know, it's very evil and trippy, and I just love it. And the gore is just fucking intense, man. When you see those hooks going, motherfuckers ripping them up, it looks so cool. Awesome. Masterpiece, 5 stars. Next up after that, I watched Hellraiser Part 2. And it's another one, man. I feel like it's actually just as good as the original. It's a great double feature. Watch those things back to back. This one definitely pumps up the gore to another level. I mean, there's literally parts in this one where it makes you squeamish. You know, it's pretty fucking crazy. And that slaughter at the very end with all the people in the hospital, man, that shit looks so fucking cool. Really great effects. Love it. Masterpiece. 5 stars. Next up, I watched South Central. I love South Central, man. My fucking buddy and me, we used to always fucking joke around every time we see each other. We're like, what's up, deuces? You know, and it's so funny, man. There's some parts in it that seem a little over exaggerated and a little silly, but at the same time, it's a great movie. It's not a masterpiece or nothing like that, but it's definitely a good hood movie. You know, it's very interesting. It tells a good story, and yeah, it has some real life things. You know, some of the people end up turning to religion. Some of them end up turning to what's it called, drugs, and other ones, you know, just keep doing their thing until the wheels fall off. So yeah, it's a great movie. 4 stars if you've never seen it. Next up, I watched Invitation Only. This is going to be from Unearthed, and you know, definitely has that Unearthed style. You know, that extreme gore. This also is a J-horror film as well. Very, it's more modern too. What year did this one come? 2009. It feels even newer than that. You know, they're in a club and basically they kind of just start taking people and fucking kidnapping them and slaughtering them up and everything like that. Almost kind of felt like Turistas or something like that, you know. But yeah, I had fun with it. I thought it was cool. I have a thing for J-horror though. I don't know what it is, but I love J-horror. But 3.5 stars I gave on that one. Then after that, I watched The Human Centipede Part 3. This is the only one out of the Human Centipedes that I haven't watched until recently, and it's by far the worst one. I know that you know, there was something that the director was just trying to make a point, basically, or talk shit about America, or something sort like that. But for me, it was just like, even with that being said, the movie was fucking stupid, so, and pointless, and just over the top to be over the top, you know. And again, that doesn't really resonate too well with me. I gave that one 1 star. Next up after that, I watched Requiem of a Dream, and fucking wow. What a fucking trippy movie, man. It's a movie about addiction, and goddamn, it is deep. It is very deep. I love the director's way that he went of making this film. It has parts that are very Tim Burton-ish, but on a more like serious note, you know, not like the kind of kid stuff that Tim Burton does. It's very deep. It's very trippy. The score is fucking amazing. I loved everything about it. I think it's a masterpiece, and I cannot wait to watch it again. 5 stars. Next up, I watched the movie House, just called House, another Japanese horror film, and this one is just batshit crazy the whole way through. I don't even know if it really has a plot, if it's just literally just crazy shit, strange shit happening. I mean, random shit happening, and it's just constant, non-stop. So it's just entertaining the whole way through, and it is just right up my alley. And man, it was a fucking blast. I fucking loved it. Masterpiece. 5 stars. Next up, I watched White Zombie from 1932. This is going to be a Kino release. You know, it was okay. I just feel like it was a little bit way too slow and boring. It wasn't for me. I gave that one 2 stars. Next up, I believe this one was from Tempe. This is going to be Brimstones Incorporated. Not my kind of stuff. You know, I love shot on video stuff, but this one just didn't work for me. I gave that one 2.5 stars. Next up, this is going to be from the Vin versus Vin prep for our Arnold Schwarzenegger stream. We did top 8 Schwarzenegger films, and first up watching, I did watch Total Recall. If you guys want to watch that stream, it's up, and Total Recall was my number 1. I absolutely love Total Recall. To me, it's a 5 stars, masterpiece. Great stuff. I feel like it has that perfect blend of crazy, gory action. I mean, when they're shooting motherfuckers, blood is just going everywhere. You see the holes in their chest. It's fucking awesome. Great visual effects, and it has horror elements in it, you know, so it's really cool in that aspect, so I love it. Next up, I watched John Wick. John Wick is a great movie. I watched this movie with my son. He loves those action movies, and the first one is just a masterpiece, man. 5 stars. Next up, I watched House. So the other one was House, but this is an American House. Completely different movie, but another one I used to watch on VHS all the time when I was a kid. Love this movie. Another one has really cool visual effects, awesome creature effects, really cool stuff. Very dreamlike sequences as well. I gave that one 4.5 stars. Love it. Next up, I watched House 2, the second story. You know, as much as people like always love this movie, and I try to love it because I love the first one so much, it just does not work for me, man. It's so average. I don't know. It's just the old man, which is, I forgot who he is as the actor, but I know he's been in other things that I watched. He's hella cool, but at the same time, I hate his fucking zombie character that he is. It's just not my thing. It's average. I gave it average, 2.5 stars. Next up, I got Dr. Giggles from Scream Factory, and this is one, it's funny. I used to see this in movie rentals all the time when I was a kid, and I always wanted to rent it, but I never did. So now being able to own it, really awesome. And I watched it, and I actually had a blast with it. I actually liked it more than The Dentist, I've been saying. I do like The Dentist, but I think Dr. Giggles, it definitely hits for me even more. I gave that one 3.5 stars. I liked it. Next up, I watched Eraser, also for that prep for the Schwarzenegger stream. I like this movie. I feel like I need to rewatch it. Maybe I wasn't in the right state of mind, but it was slightly above average. I feel like it was like 3 stars for me, so yeah. Next up, I did get The Howling 3. I enjoyed The Howling 2 so much that I had to get The Howling 3. And it's crazy because it's made by the same exact fucking director as Part 2. So it was a fun fucking time, man. I had a blast with it. And it's so funny because I've always heard so many horrible things about the Howling movies, which I'm sure down the line there are a lot more worse ones, but yeah, so far I'm all good, man. I gave the Howling 3.5 stars. I had fun with it. Next up, I watched Predator. Predator is a fucking awesome movie. Another one, I actually used to watch this one on the Betamax, but really awesome movie. I love it, man. I gave that one 5 stars as well. I think everybody's seen that one. Next up, I am a huge fan of Jim Carrey, and I have never seen Eternal Sunshine of a Spotless Mind. And wow, man, if I've been I've been talking about it on a couple streams, man, and if anybody has ever had a fucking broken heart, this movie is so fucking relatable. It gets you sad, man. It gets you sad. It's a very trippy movie, a very different kind of thought of it, like kind of what everybody kind of wishes that you could do is just erase your memory and pretend like it never fucking happened, and it just goes wrong and everything. It's a very, very trippy movie, man. What a crazy concept. Next up, I watched Never Sleep Again. This is going to be the Elm Street Legacy documentary, and man, I'm Nightmare on Elm Street is my favorite franchise, my favorite horror franchise of all time. I enjoy every single one of them exactly the same. It's the only franchise I could say that with, and I know there's a lot of them in there that people hate, but me personally, I love every single one of those equally, and they go through everything of every single one of them. They start at the beginning and interview damn near everybody, show behind the scenes how they did stuff, everything like that. Then when they're done with that, they go to part 2 and do the same thing there. I was like, wow, this fucking has everything you would ever want to know about the Elm Street fucking franchise. It was amazing. I gave that one 5 stars. Masterpiece. Next up, I watched a movie called Faceless. This is a Jess Franco film from Severn. And man, this is the last Jess Franco film I ever buy. I have way too many of his movies. I think he has 250 movies to his name, and only a couple of them are actually good, and this one is, it has some good gore in it, but man, I hate fucking Franco. I don't know why I bought this movie. I gave it 2.5 stars. Next up, I watched Predator Part 2. I enjoyed Part 1 so much, I figured I'd watch Part 2. It's been forever since I watched it, and man, I remember not liking it as a kid, but it's fucking awesome, man. It's almost the same exact thing that was happening in the first one, except now you're in a fucking city, so it was really neat to see everything that was happening then happening in a big city. I think it was New York they were in, or something like that. New York, Chicago, something like that. Really fucking cool stuff though, man. I enjoyed it. I gave that one 3.5 stars. Next up, I watched The Last Action Hero, again for my Arnold stream, and Last Action Hero is such a fun movie, man, especially if you're a movie buff and you watch those kind of kids movies from the 80s and stuff like that. It has those 80s vibes, or I'm sorry, 80s, 90s, early 90s this one was, so it had that early 90s, late 80s kind of vibe in it, and basically it's a kid that just loves movies so much and he ends up getting trapped inside a movie, and Arnold Schwarzenegger is the main star, and it's trying to convince him that he's in a movie, and Arnold Schwarzenegger doesn't believe him, but yet everything, you know, is just happening exactly like a movie. Really fucking cool. Really awesome movie. I don't know what, I'd probably give that one 4 stars. I like that one. Last up, I watched from Lucio Fulci's, I watched Demonia. This one I did a cool trade with my buddy Dirk, and you know, I already own this movie, but I didn't have this edition, so I really wanted this edition because I didn't realize how cool it looked. But the movie's just so subpar, you know, and for something like The Beyond is my second favorite horror movie of all time, and that's made by Lucio Fulci. And this one, you know, it has good gore parts, but for the most part, it's not that good of a movie. But it's above average, but still not good. I gave it 3 stars. So yes, that is everything that I watched last month. I know I'm a fucking loser and I have no life, but yes, that is what I did, and I had a blast doing it. So yes, that is going to be it for this video. I will hopefully have a lot more coming up for you guys. I do have stuff recorded. It's just the whole editing and everything else like that process. But yes, thank you everybody for bearing with me. I know that actually during this weird little break that I've been taking, I got quite a few little subscribers in there, man. So I appreciate all you guys coming aboard. And hopefully I'll have a lot of stuff for you guys in the future. So yes, until next time, appreciate you guys. I'm out.